Did you know that 65% of people say they would rather listen to a great story than read an article or watch a video? It's true, stories are powerful. They grab attention, build trust, and connect us in ways that facts alone can't. In fact, studies show that people are 22 times more likely to remember information if it's shared through a story. So, if you want to stand out in a crowded world and make a lasting impact, becoming a great storyteller is your key to success. But here's the kicker: storytelling isn't just about having an interesting plot. It's about building characters and moments that stick with your audience long after the story ends. And guess what? Most of the storytelling techniques that successful writers use are simple but incredibly effective. In this guide, I'll walk you through 6 character building strategies that pro writers swear by. These aren't your typical tips you hear all the time. We're going deeper into the subtleties that make stories unforgettable. From mastering the shadow self to making the setting feel like a character, these tips will help you craft stories that captivate and resonate. Ready to elevate your storytelling? Let's dive in and unlock the secrets that'll change the way you write forever. Chapter 1: The Art of Subtle Complexity. Mastering the multi-layered persona. The best stories are filled with characters who are unpredictable, compelling, and human. This is where subtle complexity comes in. It's the secret weapon that pro writers use to craft characters who don't feel flat. A good character has layers, traits that sometimes contradict each other. Think of Harry Potter, who's brave but also unsure of his abilities. These contradictions make characters more relatable. It's what keeps audiences invested in their journey. Pro writers often create characters with hidden motivations, desires, or pasts. These aspects of a character are usually hinted at, not fully revealed. This gives your audience room to imagine and connect with the character on a deeper level. A key to this technique is showing, not telling. Instead of saying a character is conflicted, show them acting in a way that hints at this inner battle. For example, show a character making a tough decision and then hesitating or second-guessing themselves. This builds complexity. Research backs up this approach. Studies show that audiences connect better with characters who feel real, which often means they're flawed. It's the imperfections that make a character feel like someone you know in real life. A quote from author Neil Gaiman sums this up perfectly: "The best stories are the ones where characters don't do what they're supposed to. They do what they would do." Writers often rely on these nuances to keep audiences hooked. But how do you build these layers? Start by asking yourself, what would make this character do the opposite of what they're expected to do? Push their limits. Test them in ways that reveal parts of their personality you haven't seen yet. Don't be afraid to introduce traits that may not immediately make sense. The goal is to create characters who feel whole, not perfect. Chapter 2: The Power of Silence. Using non-verbal cues to elevate emotion. It's easy to overlook, but silence speaks louder than words. Pro writers understand that silence can be the most powerful tool in storytelling. Think about the last movie you watched with a tense scene. Chances are, there was more happening in the space between words than in the words themselves. This is why body language and non-verbal cues are so crucial to storytelling. A 2019 study found that 93% of communication is non-verbal. This means that even when characters aren't speaking, they're still telling us something important. Great writers know how to use a character's posture, facial expressions, or even their breathing to convey emotions. In fact, writers often describe a character's physical movements to show their emotional state. A clenched fist or a hesitant step can speak volumes about how a character feels. Think about the famous scene in The Godfather when Marlon Brando's character, Don Vito Corleone, looks at his enemies without saying a word. His silence conveys power, control, and warning all at once. It's an iconic moment that says everything without a single line of dialogue. The power of silence is about letting your audience pick up on what's unsaid. In your own writing, consider how your characters interact without speaking. Maybe they avoid eye contact when they're hiding something, or perhaps they hold back a smile when they're hiding joy. These small details will elevate the emotional intensity of your scenes. The more you focus on these nonverbal signals, the more your audience will be able to tune into the character's unspoken thoughts. Sometimes, silence can be used to create suspense. Imagine a character about to speak, but then suddenly pauses, leaving the audience hanging on the edge of their seat. This makes the eventual words even more impactful. It's a technique that many great writers, from Shakespeare to modern screenwriters, have used to keep audiences hooked. Chapter 3: Flashbacks with Purpose. Crafting memories that build the future. Flashbacks can be tricky. Done wrong, they disrupt the flow of a story. But when used strategically, they can provide crucial insights into a character's development. The key to a great flashback is making sure it isn't just a look at the past, it has to shape the character's future. Pro writers use flashbacks to reveal what drives a character's decisions. In The Hunger Games, Katniss's memory of her sister Prim fuels her every action. It's not just a random memory, it shapes how she moves forward in the story. Flashbacks, when done right, offer a glimpse into why a character behaves a certain way and push them toward their ultimate transformation. Flashbacks should never just fill in the blanks for the audience. They should always serve a deeper purpose. Every flashback should connect with the present moment. For example, in Breaking Bad, Walter White's flashbacks to his days as a chemistry teacher serve as a reminder of what he's lost and what he's become. These memories aren't just about the past, they show the contrast between who Walter was and who he is now. Research also supports this. Studies show that memories influence how we perceive the present. For a character, this means that past experiences will shape how they react in the future. By carefully selecting which memories to show, you can deepen the audience's understanding of the character's choices. A good flashback doesn't have to be long, but it should be vivid. The more specific you get in your flashback, the more it will resonate. Don't just show an event, show the emotions tied to it. What did the character feel in that moment? This emotional connection makes the memory more powerful and meaningful in the context of the present narrative. If you're enjoying these tips, don't forget to subscribe for more storytelling strategies that will help you take your writing to the next level. Chapter 4: The Shadow Self. Embrace the dark side of characters. Every character has a shadow self, the darker, hidden side that they often try to repress. Pro writers understand that exploring this shadow side makes characters feel more authentic and relatable. This doesn't mean making them evil, it means revealing the parts of them that are usually buried beneath the surface. These hidden qualities might be fear, guilt, or jealousy, traits that everyone has, but few talk about. Think of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. The whole story revolves around the struggle between the good Dr. Jekyll and his monstrous alter ego, Mr. Hyde. It's the embodiment of the shadow self, drive. Jekyll can't accept the darker parts of his personality, and in trying to suppress them, he only brings them to life. This tension between light and dark is what makes the story so compelling. A 2014 study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people are more likely to connect with characters who openly face their flaws. The characters we admire most are often those who confront their shadows, whether it's a character battling addiction or struggling with inner anger. By embracing their shadow selves, they become more relatable and human. Writers like George R. R. Martin in Game of Thrones excel at this. Characters like Tyrion Lannister and Jaime Lannister are filled with flaws, pride, bitterness, and vulnerability, but it's these very flaws that make them fascinating. When a character faces their shadow, they often experience growth. This internal conflict is what makes their journey feel authentic. In your own writing, don't shy away from your character's darker aspects. Instead, dig into them. How does their fear influence their choices? What do they keep hidden from others, and why? Understanding and exploring these hidden parts of a character can lead to unexpected, powerful moments. The shadow self doesn't always have to be destructive. It can be a source of strength. Think of how Batman's fear of bats fuels his determination to fight crime. His fear becomes his driving force, pushing him to create a whole new persona. The shadow self, when used correctly, can be the key to a character's growth and success. Chapter 5: Setting as Character. When the world becomes a mirror, pro writers know that a setting isn't just a backdrop, it's an active part of the story. A well-crafted setting can reflect a character's emotional state, or even influence their actions. It's not enough to just describe a place. The setting should feel like it's part of the character's journey. It should speak to the mood of the scene and provide a mirror for the character's internal conflict. Take The Great Gatsby, for example. The setting of East Egg and West Egg reflects the character's social divides. The lavish parties in Gatsby's mansion are not just about wealth, they symbolize the emptiness and illusion that define Gatsby's life. The setting in this novel is a direct reflection of the character's desires, struggles, and secrets. A 2020 study found that readers are more emotionally engaged when the setting feels like a character. Writers who carefully integrate the environment into the plot can deepen the emotional impact of the story. Think about how the weather can mirror a character's mood, a stormy night reflecting internal turmoil, or a calm morning signaling a fresh start. In The Shining, Stephen King uses the Overlook Hotel as a reflection of Jack Torrance's growing madness. The hotel's isolation and eerie atmosphere fuel Jack's descent into violence. This shows how setting can amplify the internal conflict of characters, making the setting not just a location, but a critical part of the emotional journey. When crafting your own settings, think about how they can mirror your character's emotions. Is your character feeling trapped? Maybe they live in a claustrophobic space. Are they on a journey of self-discovery? A vast, open landscape might be the perfect backdrop. The setting should evolve as the character changes, creating a deeper connection between the character and their world. The setting doesn't just influence mood, it can also push characters to make decisions. Imagine a character standing on the edge of a cliff. The high, dizzying drop may force them to confront their fears or change their perspective. By giving the setting a deeper role in the story, you create a richer, more immersive world for your readers. Chapter 6: The Unsaid Truth. Mastering the art of implication. Sometimes, the most powerful storytelling comes from what isn't said. The best writers know how to master the art of implication, leaving hints, clues, and questions for the audience to piece together. It's not about filling every silence with an explanation, it's about trusting your audience to understand the unspoken. In The Road by Cormac McCarthy, the characters rarely express their emotions directly, but their actions and silence speak volumes. The bleak, sparse dialogue and the emptiness of the world around them communicate the emotional weight of their journey. By saying less, McCarthy invites readers to fill in the gaps, creating a stronger emotional connection. A 2018 study by the University of Texas found that audiences often enjoy stories more when they're left to interpret the details for themselves. When characters don't explicitly reveal everything, the audience is engaged in a sort of puzzle, uncovering truths on their own. This sense of discovery makes the story feel richer and more layered. In The Godfather, much of the drama unfolds through gestures, glances, and actions that speak louder than words. For example, Michael Corleone's first violent act is shown in a quick, almost offhand way. The lack of direct commentary makes the scene feel all the more powerful, as the audience understands the gravity of Michael's transformation without a single line of dialogue. This approach works because humans are wired to read between the lines. We're constantly picking up on subtle cues in conversation, whether it's a shift in tone, body language, or even an uncomfortable pause. Writers who use implication tap into this natural instinct, making their stories feel more authentic and emotionally resonant. In your writing, try to think of what's not being said. Maybe your character holds back information, or perhaps their silence speaks louder than words. Consider how what's left unspoken can add mystery, tension, or emotional weight. By allowing the audience to read between the lines, you're creating a more engaging and layered narrative. Implication is about leaving space for the audience to bring their own interpretations. When done right, it makes the story feel deeper, more real, and more intimate. It's an essential technique for building suspense and creating emotional impact without over-explaining. If you found these storytelling secrets useful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more tips and tricks to elevate your writing and storytelling. Happy writing!